Thank you for joining me once again, and welcome back to Keenan K TV. Adesanya and Pereira will be facing off for the 4th time in their fighting careers, but it is only for this time that the biggest difference will be apparent come fight night. In the first fight, I was of the opinion that Adesanya was supposed to win that fight, but the judges gave it to Pereira. And so in the rematch, Adesanya tried to really put the pressure on Pereira. He put him on skates, he hurt him, he gave him a standing 8 count, and he was doing very well for himself, winning the first round, and he was winning the second round as well, obviously, but ultimately that one slip up cost him the entire fight. In the third fight, for the majority of the fight, you could say that Adesanya was having a similar fight. He was up on the scorecards, in my opinion, 3-1 going into the 5th, and he seemed to be doing well, but then he gets caught again. Now, I think the same pattern will follow in the next fight. Adesanya, just like he said in the early pre-fight press conferences or interviews, he said that this time around, I'm going in there to hurt him. And I believe that he will be fighting a very similar fight like he did in the second fight. He will come forward, he will try to pressure him. In their last fight in the UFC, in the first round, he was able to hurt him. If he had a few more seconds, he could have probably finished him. And that is, in my opinion, the outlook that Adesanya has going into this matchup. But before we continue, let us hear from today's sponsor. We know that the world of combat sports is riddled with potential to severe injuries to your health. So, are you or someone you know dealing with the aftermath of an injury? The process of hiring a lawyer and submitting a claim can be daunting, but it doesn't have to be. That's where Morgan & Morgan comes in. As America's largest injury law firm with over 800 attorneys operating in 49 states, Morgan & Morgan is for the people and makes submitting a claim easy and modernized. You can even do it all through your phone with just 8 clicks. But don't just take our word for it. You can check out Morgan & Morgan for yourself and see how simple it can be to get the legal representation you need. You can visit forthepeople.com/KeenanKTV or dial in #law 529 from your cell phone for more information to submit your claim in 8 clicks or less without ever having to leave your couch. And remember, if you are ever injured in an accident, one of the first things you can do is get in touch with Morgan & Morgan. Do not give Alex Pereira any openings, because the real dynamic of this fight is the defensive outside mover versus the come forward brute force bulldozer, right? That is Alex Pereira. And the moments that Alex was not good were the moments where Adesanya was pressuring him and putting hands on him. Contrary to popular belief, Pereira's defense is not that good, in the sense of he's getting hit too much. For a fighter of his caliber, you would actually assume for him to not be as easily hittable as he is, but his head movement is not that fast, his footwork is not that smooth. Adesanya clearly has a speed advantage in both hand speed and footwork, so he will be utilizing that all fight long. The problem with it is this: when you don't have the power to demand respect off of the aggressive fighter, then you are really playing with fire, because are you going to be engaging with him in a close quarter combat? Do you want to exchange with the tougher fighter, or do you want to just try your luck and try to pressure the bigger fighter, the stronger fighter backwards? These are your options. Which one are you going to go with? And for Adesanya, I'm not too sure what he's going to be trying to do in this rematch. However, I am sure that he will be trying more than just running away or just trying to be on the outside all fight long, because at some point, and this is literally the curse of every single defensive fighter, just like it was with Caleb Plant versus Benavidez. Caleb Plant, he was awesome for the first 6 rounds because everything was new for Benavidez, right? Caleb Plant was boxing, he was moving, he was on the outside, he was giving him a very hard time with his defense and his movement. But the sloppier, bigger fighter with the better conditioning, he just keeps coming forward, he doesn't give in, and at some point, the fighter that tries to be slick and defensive and really try to be pinpoint and be perfect, he throws too many punches and he really gasses himself out. And by doing too much work, you are presenting all of your skill sets, all of your cards, all of your tools, all of your tricks, and after the X amount of rounds, you are figured out. You cannot do more than what you did, and if anything, you are regressing, you are getting worse, you are getting slower, you are getting sloppier, and the opponent is catching on. That is what happens. That is exactly what happened with Adesanya. He tried to fight the perfect fight, but you can't fight the perfect perfect fight. That is the problem. He was this close to retaining his title, and then boom, he gets caught. I mean, that's what happens when you are on the outside close to the cage and being, you know, backed up all the time. If, you know, let's just say one round he came forward and he tried to pressure Alex Pereira, and then the other round he tries to be a little bit more defensive, then he goes back to offense again, and then goes back to defense. You know, these are a lot more efficient ways to keep everything fresh and new, because you do not want to get figured out against a guy who is as strong and as destructive as Alex Pereira. So, like I said, Adesanya in this matchup will be a little bit more aggressive. He will come forward, he will try to hurt Pereira a little bit as well. But just like I said about how you are able to go ahead and mix everything up to keep everything fresh, in this matchup, Adesanya will use the wrestling. He said in the pre-fight interviews that he is going to be utilizing a little bit more of wrestling and a little bit more of his grappling. You know, he didn't immediately say it, but he kind of insinuated it, and then he kind of like tried to retract it. But we all know what he's going to try to do. He's going to really try to make this a mixed martial arts fight and present a lot of different tools, a lot of different problems for Pereira, and that is just what he is going to be doing to really maximize his success and the most winnable positions and the most points that he can score with the least amount of effort. And that is really important. Now, talking about the strengths and the way that Pereira can win this fight, I think Pereira, for the most part, he fought the best fight that he could. When Adesanya is running about and, you know, really being slick and he's hard to catch, he did a great job with his leg kicks. He did a great job with the lunging in jabs, the lunging in hooks, the lunging in body kicks. He did a great job with that. At some ranges, he was able to connect with a big high kick. These are tremendous arsenals. These are tremendous kicks and ways of actually getting to Adesanya without being in danger himself, because that is key. In some instances, he was able to take down Adesanya himself at the end of the second round. He was able to take him down. So Pereira is a dangerous fighter even when it comes down to the grappling, right? We all talk about Adesanya and how he was able to keep him down in round number 3, I believe, but we don't talk about when Adesanya got taken down himself, right? We don't talk about these things, but we have to talk about it. As much as we want to talk about, oh, if Adesanya uses his wrestling and makes it a grappling matchup and actually mixes the martial arts in MMA, he can get the upper hand on Pereira, but Pereira took him down as well. We can't forget about all of this. And if we have one of those situations where Adesanya, he is going to be abandoning the grappling because at some point, either he's going to John Jones this fight, or he's going to be Daniel Cormier when he fought Stipe Miocic for the 3rd time, right? At the start, he tried to really implement his grappling, but then he was like, damn, I'm using all of this energy for nothing, right? Just to get a takedown that's going to get stuffed, and then the opponent is going to pop back up. It's really not worth it. If that happens, then he just ended up wasting a lot of energy, and then Alex Pereira, he might be able to push up Adesanya against the fence, and then Adesanya might find himself in a situation where he's not fresh. He's not going to be able to keep up with his fast hands and fast feet. He's going to be declining. He's going to be regressing. The bigger fighter is going to be able to put his weight on him. He's going to be able to really tire out the smaller fighter. So Adesanya knows what works, and I believe he will be trying to navigate everything that works, because as much as he is good on the outside, at some point you do display all of your cards, and that is just the nature of a defensive fighter who is always on the back foot. So this time around, he has to change it up.